everyone, and welcome to our 13th day of our story Advent. And today our story is about a princess, Little Miss Princess and the pea. I wonder what she's going to do with the pea. Late one night last week, on her way home, Little Miss Princess got caught in a terrible storm, and her coach got stuck in the mud. Oh dear! She saw a light on in the distance and decided to seek help and a bed for the night. She walked through the wind and the rain and the lightning to the house. On her way, she lost her crown. Oh, what a night! Little Miss Princess arrived at the huge door exhausted and looking very wet and bedraggled. In fact, not looking like a princess at all. She knocked on the tall front door. It was Mr. Snooty's house. Mr. Snooty is the richest man in the world. He is also one of the rudest men in the world. "What do you want?" he demanded rudely when he opened the door. Little Miss Princess explained what had happened and asked for a bed for the night. "You're not coming in here," he bellowed. "You'll ruin my expensive carpets." "Oh, please, can you help me?" begged Little Miss Princess. "I'm so cold and tired, and I need a bed for the night." "Go round to the back, and I'll see what I can do," he said crossly, with which he slammed the door in her face. What a rude man! Poor Little Miss Princess had to trudge all the way around the house. Mr. Snooty opened the back door. "Took your time? You can sleep in there," he said, pointing to a cold, damp cellar. But I'm a princess," spluttered Little Miss Princess. "You don't look like one," snapped Mr. Snooty. "You don't even have a crown." I lost it in the storm," explained Little Miss Princess. "A likely story," said Mr. Snooty. "If you are a princess, then you'll have to prove it." Mr. Snooty led Little Miss Princess into his enormous dining room. The dining table was vast, and seated around it were some guests. Mr. Snooty explained the situation to his guests and asked for their suggestions. "Princesses are really good at dancing. Let's dance," suggested Mr. Bump. And of course, Mr. Bump trotted on her toes and sent her flying across the dance floor. "Hopeless!" cried Mr. Snooty. "You can't dance, so she can't possibly be a princess." "Princesses are really good at waving," said Mr. Tickle. Now, Little Miss Princess was very proud of her waving and loved to wave to people from her coach. But every time she raised her arm, Mr. Tickle tickled her. He tickled her so much that she fell on the floor. "Can't wave, can't dance, and look at her on the dance floor again," said Mr. Snooty impatiently. "Decidedly not a princess." "I have heard," piped in Little Miss Splendid, "that princesses are very delicate. So delicate that if they sleep with even a pea under their mattress, they will wake in the morning bruised all over." Said Mr. Snooty. "That's interesting. An interesting idea." So Mr. Snooty went off to find a pea, and the others all trooped upstairs. Mr. Mean lifted the mattress, and Mr. Snooty placed the pea underneath. Mr. Mean looked at the bed. "Not much of a test," he said. "Quite right, Mr. Mean. More mattresses," he ordered. So they piled mattress after mattress, one on top of the other, until They nearly reached the ceiling, and little Miss Princess climbed on top. "Good night," said Mr. Snooty, and he turned out the light. And then Mr. Snooty went to bed, although not the sort of bed he had hoped for. There was not a bed in the house left with a mattress on it. Mr. Snooty was up very early the next day, partly to see how the test had worked, but also because he had had a dreadful night sleeping. "How did you sleep?" Mr. Snooty asked little Miss Princess. "I had a wonderful night's sleep," she replied. "Aha!" cried Mr. Snooty. "I knew you were not a princess." "And yet I still got to sleep in your biggest and most comfortable bed," beamed little Miss Princess. "Oh!" said a suddenly crestfallen Mr. Snooty. "And if you're going to test for princesses in the future," she added, "you should use an uncooked pea, not a cooked pea." With which she lifted the mattresses and revealed a squashed pea. Mr. Snooty went very red in the face, and he did not know what to say. He was so embarrassed. And little Miss Princess went home. "A waste of a good pea, if you ask me," muttered Mr. Mean. Thank you for joining me for our story, and I hope that you have a lovely rest of your evening. Good night.